Hello, it's 9 p.m. in Arts. This time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have the national pre-selection test to detect the best students of first year students from public and private schools. The Center of Leadership and Entrepreneurship organized the second edition of the Robotic competition at the State High School. For the international scene, Drought threatens 20 million people in the Horn of Africa. Welcome to our newsroom. The middle school of Fukuzawa hosted yesterday afternoon the ceremony of the 10th anniversary of the installations of the Self-Defense Forces of Japan stationed in Djibouti. The ceremony was chaired by the commander of the headquarters of the Maritime Self-Defense Forces fleet and was attended by the Parliamentary Vice Minister of Defense, Mr. Nakasone Yasutake. The Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Japan in Djibouti, Otsuka Umio, the Secretary General of the Ministry of National Education, Mohammed Abdallah Mahyoub, the Director of Education, and officials of this institution. The Self-Defense Forces of Japan was exhibit a dance and song that is part of the 10th anniversary of the Self-Defense Forces of Japan stationed in Djibouti in the year 2011. In addition, the Djiboutian Army Band performed the national anthems and song about the nation. It should be recalled that the Fukuzawa Middle School was built by the Japanese Corporation. This Thursday, May 5, 2022, the pre-selection tests for the first-year students in public and private school will be held in the capital and in the regional capitals. The students who passed the tests will continue their education at the School of Excellence. The school directors and teachers were present and made sure that the students came on time to take the tests in optimal conditions. Students from the capital city took the tests at the School of Excellence from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. The students from the region is composed at home from each first year's class. 5 best students are selected and a total of 1,200 students participate in the pre-selection. The tests are in French, mathematics, and logical reasoning. Each test lasts in 13 minutes. Let's recall that this is since 2018 that these tests are organized to detect the best students of the first year. After these pre-selection tests, there will be admission tests that will be held at the School of Excellence on May 12, 2022. It is the students who are admitted in the pre-selection tests who are allowed to take the admission tests. A training session of the English language textbook designers was held last week at the American Corner. This important workshop is co-sponsored by MENFOP and the American Embassy. Ms. Jennifer, an English curriculum expert, has been working with the Djiboutian textbook authors. She has been in Djibouti for a month and has been conducting training to finalize the grade 6 textbook with the designers. The Djiboutian textbook designers are a team that consists of curriculum designers, pedagogical advisors from the English Inspectorate under the supervision of the English Inspector, Mr. Abdul Karim Ahmed Hersi. She also shared with the teacher some of the online resources for teaching English. As a reminder, the teaching of English languages is being generalized in all the third grade classes of the base. The year of experimentation in pilot schools has been successful. Now listen to the participant.
So I'm here in country working with the Ministry of Education and their textbook writers at Krippen and at the English Language Inspectorate. We've developed 3 textbooks so far. We've developed grades 4, grade 3, and grade 5 textbooks. Right now we are working on grade 6 and we're really excited about it. I've also been out to the regions and been training teachers as well as at SelfDefense to do teacher training on communicative practices for English language instruction. So what we're really looking for is that our teachers in the classrooms are more interactive with the students, that students are practicing and using English a lot more. Also, that the English that they are learning and using in the classrooms is very specific to Djibouti. So when we show images in the textbook, we show images of Djibouti, images that kids from anywhere in Djibouti can recognize, whether they are from the regions or they are from here in Djibouti City.
The State High School of Djibouti hosted today the second edition of the Djibouti Robotic competition organized by the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship. This national competition of robotics is organized at the State High School by the General Management of the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship. It is dedicated to pupils and students having their usual homes in Djibouti with the aim of inspiring them while promoting education in science, technology, engineering, mathematics. The opening ceremony of the second edition of the Djibouti Robotic competition was presided over by the General Manager of Clay Center, Ubah Ahmed Malo, the Deputy Director, Mr. Abdul Karim Mohammed Hassan, the Director of Operation, Mr. Shahim Mohammed Abdallah, the principals of the middle schools and headmasters of the high school, and the teacher of the different colleges and high schools. This competition is composed of different parts, namely the texts which are the college students, followed by the stars which are the high school students, and finally the makers which are the university students who will expose during this competition their project, which will be validated by a grand jury. For her part, the General Director of the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship, Ubah Ahmed Malo, has explained that the national robotic competition is a competition dedicated to pupils and students who are in Djibouti in order to inspire them while promoting education in the modern technology system. Let us recall that the young winners of the first editions of the National Robotic Competition were received by the head of state, Ismail Omar Gele, and won by these gestures to encourage them to move forward. The associations of women engaged for the protection of environment, known as IEFP, has organized a community action day in the Tajura region, the White City. The action is to protect the environment, garbage collections, ensuring the passage in the White City property in different neighborhoods of the White City. The prefect Hassan Dabali Ahmed congratulated the IFP associations for their commitment and encouraged them to continue these good initiatives. For the international scene in the Horn of Africa, drought threatens 20 million people from southern Ethiopia to northern Kenya and Somalia. The Horn of Africa is facing a drought that is alarming humanitarian organizations with nearly 20 million people threatened by hunger. To 200 these regions where the population lives mainly on livestock and agriculture. The last three rainy seasons since the end of the 2020 have been marked by the low rainfall, adding to a locust invasions that ravaged crops between 2019 and 2021. A month after the theoretical start of the rainy season, the number of the people going hungry due to drought could skyrocket from the current estimate of 40 million to 20 million in 2022. The World Food Programs said in April nearly 14% of Somalia's people, on 6 million people, faces extensive level of food insecurity. The new evacuations of civilians from Mariupol, it is difficult to understand exactly what the situation is at the Azovstal industrial site of Mariupol, where Ukrainian soldiers and civilians have been entrenched for several weeks. Kyiv claims that Russia is still shielding the sites despite the 3 days truce announced by the Russian Ministries of Defense. The Kremlin claims that the humanitarian corridor are working and that the ceasefire is respected by the both sides. Vladimir Putin is calling on the Ukrainian fighters defending the factory to surrender, but Denis Shmyhal, the Ukrainian Prime Minister, refuses the hypothesis. In Azovstal, the situation is critical. Russian troops are shelling the sites and continually trying to attack. Yesterday and during the riots, there were attempts by the Russians to enter the complex. Our soldiers fought back heroically. The resistance is reaching its last bullet, its last strengthening. And to close up this edition, the 12th edition of the State of Union looks at the role and future of the EU. With the war in Ukraine, the European Union is facing one of its biggest crises in recent years. It is in this particular context that the 12th edition of the State of Union began this Thursday in the city of Florence in Italy. This year, leaders and experts from around the world will discuss until May 7 the role and future of the European Union in an international context shaken by the war in Ukraine. It is obvious that most of the structures, institutions, and mechanisms that we have put in place before are not longer really adapted to today's world. I believe that in unity, it is one of the most important values of Europe, but this must also be translated into changes, especially to meet the challenges ahead, the energy, migration flows, the economic investment, but also a common European defense, because the tragedy of war has resurfaced in our continent, says Vincenza Amendola, the Italian Under Secretary of State for European Affairs. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.